I'm gonna put you onto two non-IT related books that helped me to pass my CompTIA A+ certification exams on my first try. Deep Work and Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport. Why am I sharing these books with you? And by the way, this is not a book review or book summary or any of that, because I want you to actually read the books. These books are important because IT people are knowledge workers. Knowledge workers have to keep up with the developments in the technology field on a day-to-day or at least a weekly basis. We live in a very distracted world in this day and age. While I was studying for these exams, the CompTIA A+ certification exams and the CompTIA ITF, we were in the middle of a very tumultuous, chaotic, anxiety-ridden, fearful-driven time. I was having issues at first when I first sat down to start studying for the A+. It wasn't so much the ITF that gave me issues with concentration, but when I sat down to study for the A+, it just felt like it was so overwhelming because the A+ is 2 exams. There was just so much information that I had to learn. I feel the same way, or I felt the same way about the CCNA. I was able to get through all of the material for the CompTIA A+ certification exams. I actually got through recently all of the information for the CCNA. I read the books cover to cover. These books, these 2 non-IT related books, helped me to do that. It enabled me to develop habits that allowed me to focus and to actually be productive and to get things done. Deep Work teaches you how to sit down and focus on your work by sharing the concept of flow. Deep Work is characterized by flow states. A flow state is a period of time, maybe like an hour, 2 hours, maybe even 30 minutes, where you're probably playing a video game or you're doing some work. You have this indescribable boost in performance, synchronicity. Everything is going right. Everything is working as it should. Everything is clicking on all cylinders, and you're so productive. Somebody comes into the room, they start talking to you, or they make a loud noise, and it just instantly throws you out of that flow state. Essentially, that's what deep work is. It puts you into this tunnel vision mode where you're focused, your brain is like absorbing the information and reacting to it in real time. You're just so anchored in the present moment that everything else seems to disappear until you come out of that flow state, either through distraction or through naturally getting tired and getting the work done. That's essentially the whole idea of this book, Deep Work. He talks about how to get into this flow state. I'm gonna share, I guess, one thing I got from the book that helped me to get into my flow states. I have a work area. This is my work area that you see, right? I'm constantly changing some things up every now and again. This is where I get work done. Anywhere else in the house is not conducive to deep work. I've essentially ritualized and dubbed this corner of the house where I come and I get my work done. I get my best studying done. I have class here. This is my flow state zone. I believe he talks about Carl Jung. He was a Swiss psychiatrist. He had sort of like a cabin built where he would go there, and it's like in the middle of the woods or something like that, and he would just focus on his work for long periods of time. And he got a lot of great work done there, wrote a lot of good material there. After reading Deep Work, I understood the importance of creating a space where I can come and sit down and get work done. It's important that you have your own little space so that you can get into a flow state. It's more of a subconscious training or a subconscious association with work, where you come and you sit down and your mind knows once you sit down here, it's time to get to work. Similar to a library. You go to a library. What do you associate a library with? With reading, with studying, with knowledge, with intelligence. Your mind understands that, right? So it's very important for you to try to develop deep working habits every single day, because it's sort of like a muscle. When you train your attention and your focus, your concentration like a muscle, you're able to get more work done in a small window of time over time, right? So for example, say you're only able to work deeply for 5-10 minutes at a time. That's okay, because I think our attention span has been massively destroyed by all of these digital devices and applications that we have now, right? So you start with 5 minutes, and then maybe the next day you do 7 minutes. The next day after that you do 8 minutes. The next day after that you do 10 minutes. It's kind of like training your muscles. And that's important for IT, because if you spend at least an hour of deep focus on any one subject, in the course of a year, you would have acquired so much knowledge and skills, and probably down the line develop an expertise if you're focusing on just one thing for an extended period of time. That's what this book has done for me. Deep Work has done for me. Deep Work has taught me the importance of developing and using flow states and not prostituting my attention out to certain apps, certain activities, and things of that nature. Yeah, I think you should read that book. I'm not even gonna go any deeper into it, because I want you guys to actually read the book, those who are actually serious. Digital minimalism. In digital minimalism, I find this concept very interesting. All of these technologies that we use, I don't know, apps, devices, social networking and things like that, they pretty much defeat their own purpose. One of the tenets of digital minimalism is to digitally declutter your life in order for you to, and it kind of ties into Deep Work, which is why I put these two books together as a suggestion. It kind of ties into how decluttering your life will help you to do the work that you were meant to do the work that you want to do, right? So that's one interesting idea about the book that I found to be interesting, right? And I like that Cal Newport is fair with sort of between Deep Work and digital minimalism. He's fair with it when he's saying, okay, look, if you really, really, really want to use these digital apps and all of these things, just put it at maybe the end of your day, right? Section off a block of time where you be distracted on purpose, right? And that's typically what I do. Towards the end of the day, when I get my work done and I've gotten everything out the way, I just go lay down, and if I want to mindlessly scroll some website, that's what I'll do, right? Also, this is an aside. This is something that ties into digital minimalism, and it also ties into your very ability to pass these web-based certification exams, because we're doing these exams online now, right? In Wendell Odom's official cert guide for the CCNA 200-301, right? He's the author for that book. He wrote that he spoke to professors of, academic classes and certification programs and stuff like that. And he says the number one reason that a lot of students get questions wrong is because of them not fully reading and understanding the question. I said, that sounds familiar, because there's many times where I'm doing practice questions and I know the concepts. I know I can get the answer, and I know the answer, but for some reason I get the question wrong. Then when I go to check the answer, I'm like, wait, I knew that. Like, why didn't I get it? Turns out that I wasn't reading the question in full, and that's because we've been trained by these web-based applications to scan the text that we're reading, to scan the information that we're looking for, rather than fully read, comprehend, and contextualize the information. I think that is a product of too much digital asset. This is very important because, again, we're taking these exams on a computer, and if we're consistently trained to read and understand information on a screen, doing it via an app that trains us to scan the information, I don't know if it's training us, but we have become trained to scan information. Let me be fair. We have been trained to scan information rather than fully read it. I don't know if any of you nerds read a very interesting article, decide to send it to a friend, and you can tell that they didn't read the full article. They scanned the article, they maybe just read the title, and just respond to the title, right? I had a friend do that the other day. I sent him an article and he just read the title of the article. If you are constantly using these digital assets or liabilities to view the world through, or if you're constantly just using them in general, you're prone to going on the exam and reading the information very much in the same way as if you were scrolling Instagram or scrolling Facebook or scrolling Twitter and just scanning information. And you can't do that on an exam. You have to fully understand the questions that you are being asked. So digital minimalism forces us to, and this is another important principle, forces us to use these devices and use these applications in a conscious way. One of the ways that I do that is by using Instagram more as a messaging app than it is a social media app. See, there's a difference between social media and a messaging app. For example, AOL Instant Messenger. For those of you who remember AIM, AOL Instant Messenger was just to message people. You get online and you see your buddy list, I believe it was called. Oh my gosh, it took me back. You see your buddy list and you see that they're online, you send them a message, right? I can still hear the sound of that AOL Instant Messenger sound in my head, that ring when I'm getting a message, right? But that's typically how I use Instagram nowadays, because Instagram, I believe it does let you know when somebody's online or what have you. Everybody's always online. What am I even talking about? I typically go on Instagram and I just message people, right? I remember when Instagram didn't even have DMs, but that's typically how I use Instagram, right? I use it as a way to have conversation and stuff like that, and I typically do it at particular times of the day, right? And that whole rant I just went on was inspired by this book, Digital Minimalism. It's such a great way to approach technology, to use technology, because if you are a knowledge worker in the IT field, aspiring to be in the IT field, you have to be very cognizant and conscious of how you're using these devices, right? Get those two books. It's a really, I highly suggest that you get these two books, because they have changed the way that I approach work and approach pretty much everything in my life nowadays, because there's so much technology around me that not even just me, but you as well. You have to be the user of the technology, right? You don't want to be the used of the technology. And that's something else that I also think about a lot. I think about the fact that a lot of the user design is intended for you to be put in a certain psychological state. And if you spend too much time in that psychological state, it can adversely affect your ability to produce the things that you want to produce, right? To behave the way that you want to behave. Because everything starts from the mind. And if you're not able to control your psychological states or be aware of your psychological states, then it's downhill for you. So yeah, just wanted to share that with you guys. If you want to watch or learn about more study tips like this, click right here, and I'll talk to you guys next time.